Call the meeting to order, 2:30. Welcome to the June 11th Board of Assessors meeting. The board consists of 3 public members with various backgrounds involving real estate, and myself. I'm the chairman of the board. I'm also the city assessor, and as the city assessor, I'm a non-voting member. During today's meeting, the board will be reviewing applications submitted to the city, in which the applicant is requesting to be exempt from taxes for religious purposes. A copy of all the information submitted with the application has been provided to the board prior to today's meeting in order to give them time to be able to review the materials. Just to clarify for the members of the public in the audience today, this is a public meeting and not a public hearing. So as such, the board will only be hearing from the applicant if they choose to speak in order to provide them an opportunity to address the board concerning the materials they have submitted. The board's decision is final, and written notice will be sent to the property owner by mail. If the applicant is dissatisfied with the board's decision, they may file an appeal with either the Board of Tax and Land Appeals or the Superior Court, but not to both. So the application submitted has been from the Shire Free Church, Monadnock. And Ian or Daryl, either of you like to address the board?
Mark Adjo is going to address the board.
Okay, please. Just name your name and address, please.
Sure. My name is Mark Edgington. My mailing address is 63 Emerald Street, number 506. I'm a minister of the Shire Free Church, and I also host the nationally syndicated radio program Free Talk Live. I want to be straight and speak to you guys completely, above board. I want to create a dialogue. The fact is, the activists have been here in town for many years, and the city and the activists have gone head to head. I think that, the questionnaire seems obvious to me. The questionnaire has not been sent to any other church that I know of. When Dan was questioned about it, he said that no other church has gotten a questionnaire like this. And I think it's obvious that the activists are special consideration from the city. And I don't see that that is particularly wrong. There's been a lot of sort of noise made in the past. But what my goal is to create a dialogue. And I think that we can see some changes. And let's go ahead and get started. So the fact is that the Shire Free Church fits all the definitions legally of what a church is in the state of New Hampshire. There's no doubt about it. We've read the RSAs, and that's it. We're as much of a church as the Congregationalists are here. The Quakers, who have no building at all, we have no building. We meet weekly. We have services. We're a church. We're even looking at getting a building with a pointing roof. We've looked around the region, and we may very well do that. So at this point, we don't have it, but there are plenty of churches in town that don't have it either. The way that I came to the conclusion, the Shire Free Church, I created the Shire Free Church, me. I realized at some point that I go on the radio on a nightly basis, and I preach a moral philosophy. 6 nights a week, I'm off 1 night a week. And that I'm the head of an organization that preaches a moral philosophy. I believe that this is the moral philosophy that was created into the fabric of this reality by its God. That, therefore, seemed to qualify me as a minister. It took me a while to come to this conclusion. I argued myself into it, not out of it. So, I just want folks to know where we came from in the beginning. So, if the city of Keene knows anything about the activists at this point, they know that they're dedicated. They know the activists are going to take this all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary. I don't think it'll get through that. The fact is the district court, Judge Burke has already recognized the Shire Free Church as an organization through which people can do community service hours. That gives us a strong legal leg to stand on. As stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, you need to consider the losses versus the gains. The $3,500 or so that the activists don't pay, there's $6,000 is what the property tax is. $2,500 we voluntarily give it because we want leaf pickup, fire service. We believe in paying for the things that we use. I am morally opposed to a public school system. There's no doubt about it. You don't have to agree with me, you just have to understand that that's what I think. We have donated money to private schools here in town. We intend to continue doing such a thing. But that's our belief system, and that's why we want this parsonage. We intend to continue to give money the way we have. At this point, there's a difference of $3,500 on an annual basis that you guys aren't getting out of the property, off the tax rolls, as it were. But a court case could go into the high tens and low hundreds of thousands of dollars. It costs money for lawyers and stenographers and all these folks. And as stewards of the tax dollars, I think that that's something that you should take into strong consideration. We believe in a voluntary society where people can voluntarily associate. That means that it gives the city a whole new way of dealing with the activists if this parsonage is granted. It allows the city to say, you know what? We're not really interested in your chalk marks in Central Square. Here's your $2.37 a year that you contribute to Central Square. You can have it back. We don't want it. Why don't you keep your chalk marks off? And then according to our philosophy, it's not ours anymore. We don't have the ability to do that. Not black chalk in Central Square. I think it's silly. But that's me, right? So if you can, at this point, you really have an ability to use the activist's belief system in order to control behavior. And I think that that's a whole new way that the city can go about dealing with things. Thanks.
Thank you. Ian and Daryl, you guys wishing to speak? Or
No.
any questions from the board?
Just a clarity thing,
Sure.
I've never heard of the Shire Free Church, and that doesn't mean anything because I don't go to church. Now, there are others in the state? Are there others in the country?
There are others in the country, and do we have another minister inside the state? I think we have several, besides
Okay.
us. In
We have a few in Manchester.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Do you have IRS status for donors to declare, to be able to claim as a tax deduction?
The IRS is pretty clear that you don't have to file with them to be a church. We don't want our donors to be exempt from IRS rules. As far as I'm concerned, I have no desire to have 501c3 status with the IRS. The state rules don't require us to file with the IRS. The IRS's rules don't require us to file with the IRS.
So if I make a donation to you of $5,000, I can't claim it?
That's correct.
Is that one of, oh, never mind.
We recommend you don't file the taxes.
It kind of defeats the purpose of the public good. You don't think? No?
Lots of public good is done. Are we talking about the public good of taxes, or are we talking about the public good of a church?
It's contrary to the most fundamental concept of law and the constitutional process.
Okay.
And I know you have issues with that.
Right. All we want to do is separate ourselves from that voluntarily, and the fact is that that process won't let us separate. And we're using the legal rules as they exist to do just such a thing.
And the title of the property has been transferred to an LLC, I understand?
Nope.
Is that correct? No?
No, Shire Free Church, Monadnock. is a-
LLC.
That's not an LLC, that's a
It
New
was
Hampshire
prior was
nonprofit.
a Holdings LLC, and then it was transferred
Into a New Hampshire nonprofit.
But I thought it said something about, Shire Free Church Holdings, LLC.
That's not the owner of the property.
It was transferred from you to Shire Free Holdings, and then after that, it was then transferred to the church. By that correct?
That's correct.
We were concerned with the status of the LLC and how that would be interpreted, so we changed it over to a New Hampshire nonprofit.
Do you have a copy of that?
Not on me.
Okay, just,
It should
Hadn't
be in the
considered that
records
that would be
there.
a question.
I didn't see a copy of the deed.
It is Shire Free Church. Monadnock is the official
Okay.
owner at this point. No longer an LLC.
So it's just a typo.
They originally submitted 2 applications. One was sent back to us in January, and then I believe after it was transferred to the Monadnock Church. Then with that point, they submitted another application clarifying you should have both copies of the A9s
Yeah.
there. And that's why they had done
So if your organization dissolves, what happens to the assets?
I guess we would have to come up with some system.
That's
before-
addressed in the Articles of Agreement.
And where is that Articles of Agreement?
It was attached to the questionnaire.
It's here somewhere. Looks like that. Page with the signatures is the Articles of Agreement? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, right.
I guess the answer is, I mean, obviously we'd sell the property. Same as Methodists over here. I mean, they've got a church up. What do they do when they dissolve?
Well, I think there's a government process for that,
Selling things and get stamps?
if it's a nonprofit.
Cross that bridge when we come to it.
Well, that's one of the tests, is if you meet that, if you have that dissolution agreement in your
It's in it.
articles.
Yeah, well, Mark, maybe you aren't familiar, you don't recall, but the Articles of Agreement state that it'll transfer back to the Shire Free Church.
It says if the organization dissolves, its assets must be distributed for an exempt purpose to the federal government or to a state